Hello everybody and welcome to another showcase episode for something that I've built in Planet Zoo. So today something slightly different to the last few, which were the Australian builds. This is what I've called Dunes, or Dunes sort of desert complex area, and it is something that I've built for Mrs. T-Rex's community zoo that she arranged. If you haven't seen anything on it so far, then she's got stuff about it on her channel, so go check that out. I'll put the link in the description. But yeah, ultimately I signed up to do a Gemsbok habitat and something for all the desert exhibit animals, so that is kind of what I signed up to do. I wasn't really sure of a concept. I roughly looked up some inspiration, found a really cool one, but it didn't quite work out how I wanted it to when I was building it, so I kind of had a rethink, and I stuck with a similar sort of concept, but just the actual building was completely different. So what we'll do is we'll have a look around everything properly in detail. There will be a couple of bits I'll just show you quickly how I did it, and then I'll put some cinematics and stuff at the end, and I will also put all the links and bits for how to download it in the Steam Workshop in the description as well, because I'll put this on the workshop too, so that you guys can hopefully download it for yourself if you'd like. So we'll start with probably the most striking feature, as you can probably see, which is the roof. So the roof is probably the bit I'm most proud of. So the idea behind the building was to make the roof look like sand dunes, the way it kind of undulates and like dips and sort of flows quite nicely to look like sand dunes. That was the basic concept. The way I tried it before didn't work, as I said, but this I think is very effective. I think it works really well how I wanted it to. So it's all made out of plaster squares, 1 metre plaster squares. And each square is attached to its neighbours with some of the Australian rod pieces, the newer pieces that we've got, to provide the main structure for the actual roof itself. There are some more supports that we'll see inside, but yeah, ultimately that is what the roof is made of. So yeah, it's coloured to look sort of sandy colour as well. But yeah, you can kind of see the way it kind of moves and flows. So I created this effect basically by doing some work on a terrain patch. So I kind of laid out the size that I wanted, and I terraformed it to have these kind of curves and slopes and hills and things in it. And then I covered the whole thing just by using these squares but aligning to the surface of the ground. So I just placed each individual one aligned to surface, and obviously it then hugged the shape of the terrain itself. So that is how I did that, and then obviously it was quite a painstaking process, but managed to join up all these things, and I hope that they're all correct and nothing's poking through. It took ages and ages to make sure nothing was sticking out or poking through the wrong way or sticking underneath too much, but I think we've done pretty well at making sure it's all pretty neat and tidy. So yeah, that is the roof, and I'm really happy with it. I think it's quite striking. So once I'd kind of decided that's what I wanted to do, there was another element that I wanted to take out of the previous building that I'd started making, and that was the wood pillars going around the edges, around the front and stuff. So the way I had it was that they don't go straight down, they go inwards slightly. It's just angle snap to a 15-degree angle, and I wanted to keep that aesthetic because I quite liked it, and I liked the wood. I'd used the darker wood with the sandy colour. I thought worked quite well. So I decided that what I would do is put these, attach these to every single edge piece of the building. So each one has three pieces on it, except for the entrances and exits. Each one has 3 pieces, unless they don't work. and we've also got a few on any bits that go backwards, such as here, and then there's some sort of on this stretch where there's the odd little one that goes down the side there. So that was how I did that, all angle snapped, and that goes all the way round the building until you hit this sort of corner here and some of this back area. So yeah, that is that part. And then the final sort of main component of the main building is the stone. So the stone and plaster mix. So originally the idea maybe was that the whole thing was going to be sunken down, so that you would have your terrain level with the roof, and then you would kind of go down into the building. But I decided that it didn't look quite right, and because I wanted this effect of the wood, it kind of took everything away from that because you couldn't see it properly. So I decided actually what I'll do is level it all out, so you can still see the sides and stuff, and you can see the roof from the inside really well too. But I decided that I would put a little observation area over here, which we'll have a look at after. So once when I'd already started putting everything sunken down, I thought I wanted to line the inside with something, and I decided to try and use this stone and the dry stone wall pieces, and they worked quite nicely, I thought, with the actual sand colour. The combination of the two I thought worked really well. So this is the back, where there's more of the stone. So it's mostly just on this face and the right hand face, but there's other elements of it throughout, just certain bits and bobs. So this is the other main component that I've used on these corners, just to give it almost that walled garden sort of vibe, that quite sort of tropically Mediterranean-y vibe in a way. So yeah, those are the three main components for the roof, and then we've got the wood, and then we've got the brick, the stone and the plaster on the walls. So moving on to the planting aspect, so obviously you can see there's quite a lot of planting. I wanted to keep it quite sort of fairly green, but not overly green, so I liked the idea of, since we had gaps in the roof, making a feature of that and having a few trees poke through. So as you can see, we have got a few of the taller palm trees poking through the roof, and then we have got a few little yucca, is it? I think it's the yucca plants, just where the flowers are poking through, where they're a bit taller. So those just add to the effect of just having a few trees in the middle of the desert kind of thing. And then on the outside, and we'll go onto the inside, but outside wise, I just wanted to create these patches of vegetation all the way round, just to kind of blend it in a bit and stop it all being so bare. I know some people, if they download it, maybe wouldn't want these. They might want to integrate it more, which they could do by just deleting any of these bits if they wanted to, but just to make it a bit more of a completed vibe, I thought I would add some planting around the edges to break it all up a bit. On this corner here, for the Gemsbok habitat, we have got a proper border there that's all planted, so it just gives more of a viewing area and a bit more privacy for the animals at the back. So that is a nice big chunk of planting there. But yeah, for the main building, just certain patches on the outsides and some poking through. So if we come down to proper level, you can see from kind of guest height. So this is the little entrance sign. We've got the components there, the aviary, the Gemsbok and the Dunes building, and the signage there using Rice's fonts, looking lovely. So the main entrance, so as I said, there's a few different components within this. So we've obviously got the Gemsbok enclosure on the right hand side, which we'll talk about a bit later, and then this is kind of the main entrance, although as you saw there's one entrance down here and there's also one in the far corner as well. So this is the inside of the building, So let me play it so you can see people walking around. So there's quite a few different things to talk about in here. So from this point of view here, you can see we've got some support beams, only a few just in the middle. Obviously a lot of the ones out on the outsides are supporting the outside. I'm not the best at like the engineering side of things, but I like to think hopefully that some big supports in the middle there, plus everything around the edges would be enough to support the building. Then we've got the lighting, which we will see after when I turn it to nighttime when we finished looking properly. So these were kind of designed to almost to look like the sun in the middle of the desert, and they glow quite nicely. They're kind of a nice similar colour light to this when they're lit up. So we've got a few of them just hanging from the roof dotted about. Obviously the roof is open, so this is more just for night time. We've got a lot of planting inside, and I decided to make some little signs. So obviously this whole house is, the idea is that it's all deserts, any deserts anywhere, so it's not specifically African desert or like an Asian desert sort of thing, it's just any deserts, all desert foliage and stuff. So everything we've used here foliage wise is all desert based, with the tags, and yeah, I thought I would put some little signs so obviously people can find out what certain plants are as they walk around, just to make it educational, not just about the animals but also provide some sort of educational aspect inside to do with the plants and the more wider sort of habitat. So that is it with planting. So yeah, lots of planting all dotted around, of various different types and sizes and stuff like that, but you'll see a lot of the same plants repeated all the way through, to keep that same aesthetic. Over here we've got the Dunes Cafe. So I like the idea of putting a little cafe in here that's just slightly raised up, and I'm really happy with how this one's turned out. So I decided only yesterday to do a little bit of stuff changing around here with this little section. So I've covered this just so that it is actually covered from the elements, even though it's not contained. It is technically covered. If it was to rain, at least it is a proper shelter there. So I've purely just put some glass so you can still see the roof through the glass obviously and get the light and stuff, natural light coming through, but it is technically waterproof-ish. So we've got a lot of benches in there. I took one out from over there because guests kept falling through on the other side, falling through into the backstage area for the Gemsbok. So yeah, I removed the one over there, but we've got a few benches dotted about in here, and then we've just got 3 different shops in there. We've got Mexcellente, a Cosmic Cow, and a Pip Shop Juice, I think it is. So yeah, it gets very busy here, but yeah, that is the 3 shops. I made this little very basic mural, but I like to think it's fairly classy looking. I wanted this to kind of be fairly modern, the whole building to look quite modern, quite chic looking, not too sort of rustic and old-fashioned looking and sort of janky, as people love to say. So I just kind of did this sort of sand dune effect, which I've used in a couple of other places as well, as a little mural with the signage there, and then that light just looks almost like the sun in the middle of the sky there. And then over here I decided to put my Gemsbok mosaic. So this is a mosaic that I made quite a while ago, and I thought it'd be quite nice to actually incorporate this because I've not really used any of my mosaics that I made back in the day when I first started doing them. So I thought this would be a nice one to actually put in. So I've just made this little mural thing at the back, with a border and a bit of wood around it, just to like detail it, make it look a little bit prettier. And because I took the bench out of there, it looked a bit plain there, so I thought it'd be nice to fill that little gap there. And then staff entrances, lined a little bit of the inside of the staff shops as well, and put some doors in between all of these. Obviously it'd be nicer if this didn't look like three little shops, but we've got to deal with what we've been given in the game. So yeah, that is the Dunes Cafe, and then we'll continue down this way. So these are the actual exhibits. I can see some protesters, which is not ideal, but I'll sort them out later. So there's 4 exhibits in here. We've got the, what have we got? The Gila monster in one. Down here we have the Eastern brown snake, brown snake, I think it's brown snake. Over this way we've got, what have we got in this one? The giant desert hairy scorpions. And then in this one over here we have the rattlesnake, western diamondback rattlesnakes. So I wanted to kind of place these in the centre of the paths and things like that, so people could walk all around them, just dot them about. Obviously there's not loads of them, so it was going to be quite sparse, hence why I said about making the plants more of a feature as well. But I've tried to sort of detail these so they look a bit nicer. We've obviously got rocks all on the corners, there's like pillars on the corners, and then plaster covering the tops and bottoms with this kind of the same wood detailing that we've used all the way through, which I think has turned out very nicely. A couple of them we've edited now so that they have got the 3D facade on one face, so that one changed recently to add a toilet block, and this one over here I just decided a little while ago to actually have that and block this wall off so that people can't get to that side of it. So yeah, we've got a couple of them. And then from this side we've also got the added feature of having a cutout in the outside of the support beams so that people could look through from this side if they wanted to as well. So that is it for the exhibits inside. I'll show you this newest edition as well. So I edited the cafe and I edited the toilet block, because I added a toilet block I suppose, because I didn't really originally have one, and then I decided that I probably should. We've got a cafe and it's a big building where you could house stuff like this, so I thought why not have somewhere where people can actually go to the toilet, wash their hands and stuff before they eat and things like that. And it fitted into this building quite nicely, so I've added this onto the side of this exhibit, and it's just one toilet block in there, but made to look like it's a little bit bigger and it joins the wall over there. Same detailing with the wood and everything. And then on this side there it's just blocked off when originally the planting went all the way down. So that is the toilet block there. If we carry on this way, this is an aviary. So if you follow me on Twitch and you see a lot of my stuff, you'll know that I'm quite keen at the minute on doing aviaries. I don't really know why, I just think they really add something to the aesthetic of the zoo and make things look a bit more realistic, having a bit more variety and things like that in your enclosures and your layouts and things. So I decided that I wanted to put an aviary in here in this corner, and there's a little cutout here for the viewing. So the bird in here, this is based off one of Drax. If you haven't seen his work on the workshop, then check out the Birds of the World, I think they're called, on there. I'm sure you've probably seen them already. So I've taken one of them and adapted it as much as I could to make my own. So this is a roadrunner, kind of deserty bird that's often kept in desert themed exhibits and things like that. So I decided to make a little roadrunner in here, sat on the rock, and this is the aviary. I'll zoom out a bit as well so that I can show the proper layout. So it comes off the corner here, so that is the idea, that it all comes out from the corner. Obviously I haven't put netting on or anything to imply netting on the roof. It's all just support bars that would have obviously implied netting and things in there, but we have got the mesh along the front, so that is all just proper mesh that's in-game barrier pieces, and then you can see what the bird looks like from the back. But yeah, lots of planting, but not too much. Well, like one bigger bush and then some smaller shrubs and a few small plants and grasses buried in and things. I did mulch everything and then decided that I would raise the terrain a little bit as well, so that we had some sand in here too. So we've just got mixtures of sand and rock and mulch, a few logs and stones and bits as well, some smaller ones to add some variety, even just some very tiny ones, and then a rock facade at the back as well, just to only over half of it, to kind of blend it in a bit to the theming, but that side's left blank. And then we've got a little nest box down here as well. I don't really know much about Roadrunners, to be honest, but I've put a little nest box down there, which hopefully they could use. And then the keeper access door over there with a little airlock entrance tucked away down in this corner, which has got mesh on the sides as well. It's hard to see it because it is so tucked away, but yeah, just using some mesh there as well. So that is it in this corner. And then, so you can see all the same theming and planting everywhere. Cactuses, we've got the corkwoods, we've got a lot of these that I can never remember, century plants, crimson turkey, sage, so both the sages, a lot of aloe, some of the cacti, the prickly pears, manzanita, the odd one, salt cedars and desert ironwoods, the pink add a bit more colour, and then we've obviously got some of the palms, and I don't think we put any ferns, I think we only use palms, and these ones, the yuccas and those types, and then a lot of the triodea, is it? Triodea grasses, and the little ones, the other little spiky ones, I can't remember what they're called. So yeah, that is all desert plants. So coming down this side, this is a staff room in here, just in there. That is the staff room, tucked away under there, because I wanted to put a few staff and guest facilities in here. So I thought we can have food, we could have toilets, we could have a keeper hut, and we could have a staff room as well, because sometimes it can be hard to slot them into nice places. So this is the observation area for the roof. So the idea is that guests can come up here and actually appreciate the design of the roof from above and how it looks. So instead of, as I said, having all the terrain level so that people were walking at this height normally and all of this was sunken underground, I thought I would change it up and have somewhere where guests can actually walk up and look over the roof instead. And I'm quite happy with this. I think it works a lot better. It's nice using the stone aesthetic, allows guests to come up and everything. I think it works quite well and makes everything inside a bit lighter, and you can appreciate all the design a bit more of the sides as well and the planting. So I wanted to make a custom sign to kind of make out as if it's explaining the story of the building and just a little bit about the actual building and architecture and the design of the place. So we did this the other day on the stream, the story of dunes. So I'm really happy with this. It's my first real custom sign that I've made, and apart from this tiny little nub in there, I'm quite happy with this. So I wanted the idea that I could replicate the design of the roof in some pieces, which I've done quite well here, I think, using the switches and some gutter pieces sunken in. So that sort of mimics the design of the roof, just the close-up segment of it. We've got a picture of sand dunes to obviously demonstrate what the roof is supposed to look like as a whole, and then I've made a few little plants. So we've got a kind of one of these palm trees, we've got a cactus, and we've got one of the aloe plants as well. All these pictures have just little caption lines of where they might have little bits written about them, and then we've got the title and just a few implied bits of writing and stuff about it. So that can kind of nicely tell our guests a bit about the story of the building and what it's all about, how it's supposed to look and work. So yeah, that is that is everything for down this side, and as you saw down there, we have got a little kind of semi-entrance, not as grand, but still with a sign and everything, and a nice archway and stuff, to show that that is an entrance to the complex as well. So that is everything in the main part of this side of the building and the main building itself. If I just go through, you can appreciate the roof from the inside properly as well. I think it looks as nice from the inside as it does from the outside. It took a little while for me to get used to it. I wasn't sure if I liked the idea that they were all squares rather than like circles. I didn't know if it looked fluid enough, but I think it works really well actually. So we'll move on to the Gemsbok. So this is one of the main kind of linked viewing areas for the Gemsbok, so that's sort of within the complex itself. So we've just got this ha-ha moat type area, dry moat raised, where people can look out and see them. The habitat's not massive, but it's a decent size. We've got quite a few in there now. I think they've been breeding and stuff. So yeah, this is the main portion of viewing. Then if we go around, we've got this little bit of wall there as well, with some planting to break it up a bit, and then this continues down the side until we get over to this sort of point here where it levels off and becomes a normal barrier. So in terms of the habitat itself, it's not overly fancy. We've got some shrubs and things emerging from the bush there. We've got a few shrubs, little patches of grass, but not loads because we wanted it to be fairly desert looking to fit the theme. And then we have got a few trees dotted about, which I have put little tree guards around to stop them destroying them with their horns. So again, all desert themed plants in here, in patches dotted around. On this side here, this is the entrance for the keepers and the staff, so that comes in here. Tiny little rough wooden edged planted bit, just a bit of grass in there just to break it up, nothing fancy because it's backstage. And then that is what I've put as the entrance to the habitat, although it doesn't need to be. There is potentially space anywhere else around there if you're placing this yourself. I've used my keeper tools, just a few of them slightly recoloured over there. The inside is not overly themed and done properly, it's a bit more bare, so I've put a keeper hut in just to put one in so that when people place this, they've actually got a keeper hut in there for people to use. And then the stables themselves are a mixture, they're sort of half detailed. So we've got lighting and bits on the roof attached, we've got heat lamps on the walls, and we've got some bedding in there and some drains. And we've got some heaters in here as well, as you can see, waving. But that is pretty much it for the detailing. I haven't really, I mean, this doesn't necessarily need to be very detailed inside, but that is how it goes. The Gemsbok can come in here, they can use the yards, and they can only, if I can remember right, they can, because of this detailing, we've got doors and runners and things on the outside, but this tiny little lip means that they can't go through here. So what they have to do is come through this yard and into here, and then they can use these other two stables on these sides. That is how they work in terms of animals actually traversable areas. They can come through here and into those, and I think they can get in all three of these, but they just can't access these except through the middle. So we've got some guttering and stuff, that's all enclosed around the edges obviously, and then a water trough, and then, as I said, all the back sort of areas a bit more planted up all around there, and then this side is more open. But we do have one, so this was a slightly later addition, just wanted to plant this up, so I decided to go from the plaster to the brick again and continue the brick round here as a small fence with some lights on, and that comes around, and then we've just got this small viewing area here with some more custom signs so that you can kind of see them from this side too. and then that follows all the way around. You could obviously do as much as you would like in terms of blending this whole area in, and with the limestone floors down there too. Right guys, so I'm back and we're in night time, because I think it really comes into its own at night. It looks really nice, especially the inside of the building looks really nice at night. So we'll just have a quick look around at night time, because we've obviously seen everything already. So a lot of these patches of trees and things I've put lights on around the edges for the planting. We've got the main little sign, like directional sign, lit up there, and then we've also lit up the main dunes building sign. A couple of actual sort of just lights there, more for just keeper access lights. And then inside this building we've obviously got the heat lamps, which are red glowing heat lamps there, seeing them make use of them. Well, they're not really making use of them because they're not actually lamps, they are lights, but it looks like they're sleeping under heat lamps. So the main part of the building, so you can see all these lights. This is actually 2 lights, so what we've got is we've got the main light there, and then we've also got one area light sunken underneath the floor. If I click that and show you, some of these are added in as well, but the main structure is that light there and one underneath to give it that glow, because these lights aren't really that bright in themselves. So I thought it would look a bit nicer if they had one underneath as well, to give the effect that they are actually giving off more light than they do. So all of these lights dotted around. We've got a bit more light inside here, as it's a main cafe eating area, and then all these other little lights all the way around, same as we had before. We've got the toilets a bit more lit up as well from the outside, and yeah, just a lot of these big sun-like lamps dotted around. We've deliberately left this little corner down here a bit darker, because it's next to the aviary, so we want the aviary to be a little bit less lit up. Some of these is a bit awkward because they go through walls for some reason, but yeah, we've lit up these patches on the outside to make a bit more of a feature of them, which I think works quite well. And then the same from down here, these patches too. Inside from this angle we've got, looks like this, quite warm lighting really. I think it works quite nicely. And then we've got a few lights just going up here too, and then you can see from up here we've got the view from above at night, which I think looks really nice, the way it all kind of shines through. Gives a really nice effect, I think, at night time through the roof there. So yeah, that is the night time. If we just have a look down this side as well, around the outside of this, you can just see that these little ones are lit up as well, but they are obviously not too bright. And then we've not lit up any of the planting there, except for just these couple of little bits on these corners here, that jut out a bit to make again a bit more of a feature of them, but otherwise keeping it all a bit darker for the animals in there at night time. So that is it for this building, and as I say, I'm super happy with it. I think it is genuinely the best thing I've built in the game. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. As I said, I will put a link in the description so that you can see it for yourself. If you want to download it, put it in your zoos, or download it and place it, just have a look a bit more at it if you'd like, anything like that. So yeah, I'll pop the link down in the description below. When you place the habitat, the only things I'll mention quickly now is there'll be a couple of little signs here, show me and hide me signs, so that's just to make sure obviously that the ground is all the right level for where it needs to be, so just make sure you show and hide those parts. Over this way, so all of the fencing around this habitat, I have placed actual brace posts on them, so they're not just habitat barriers, so you should be able to see exactly where each fence post needs to be placed. You can put one in each of these posts that go all the way round, and then you should have the correct placement obviously down here. That is all chain link, and which stops there. And then from there round here it is a null barrier, and then here's where it picks up again, and all this is chain link, and then you can see the placement there where we've got a gap in these sections here to allow the animals in, and then bits of fence up and down here. As I said, I've placed the habitat gate there. In theory, if you wanted to, you could place it here, which may even work slightly better, because this is all elevated pathing, and it is a bit confusing, and hopefully you'll be able to place it correctly, but I've managed to make it all look fine, so it might just be a lot of fiddling around with how to make it work for you. You might want to edit and adjust certain elements of it, but yeah, you could place a habitat entrance there and that should work as well, if it was a null piece down there. And then the only other part would be the aviary, which, as I showed previously, this is all mesh, and I have placed in the download just a couple of little markers. Well, I say a couple. I've placed a little marker on each fence post, in the centre, a little wooden marker, so that you can see exactly where they need to be lined up to, and the top frame aspect is all lined with wood anyway, so you'll be able to tell the correct height. And that one you can just pull through. I think it might be a small one, so what you might have to do is place a 2 meter long piece, drag one side down into the terrain when you have the editable bottom on the barrier on the tabs, drag one part right down, and then you should be able to move that inwards to make a 1 meter long piece of fencing. So yes, I think that is everything for this building. That is all normal stairs. The only thing actually other than that is the pathing. So pathing, you should be able to get pathing going all the way through here. I've done it with pathing in mind, not through every little bit, so you won't get a path through there, but the main, you'll kind of be able to see where it's wide enough for proper paths to go around here. And this bit, all the benches and bins and everything in here should work. If you align the path to one of the shops and then select that grid, you should be able to make all this and edit that so that it's 2.5 meter long path, 2.5 meter long stairs, sorry, to go down there, and that should work out hopefully for you. So yes, I think that is everything for the building in terms of instructions for how to place it as well. As I said, just pathing wise, you might have to play around with it a little bit to make it all work for you, but yeah, obviously this is just the shell of the main building. You can edit things if you would like. So that is it. I really hope you like it, because I am very proud of it and I'm really happy with it. So yeah, hopefully you will like it as well. If you do like, then please leave a like on the video, and on the workshop as well. If you like it and you want to rate it, then please do rate it high if you like it. If you haven't already, subscribe to me on here for more videos like this, some showcases of things I've built, my other series that I'm doing, my recreation and my Planet Zookeeper series, and other bits and bobs. I've done recently a lot of building on Twitch and then showcasing what I've built on YouTube, so if you're interested in watching me build stuff live and joining the little Twitch community over there, then the link will be down below as well. And finally, if you would like to join the Discord, the link will be in the description below as well. So thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed and I hope you like putting this in your zoos. I will leave you now just with some cinematics, so hopefully I'll see you in the next one.